What's going on, YouTube? Back with another movie review. I know I haven't done one since hour long. If you see me looking at the screen here, it's because I documented the stuff I want to talk about. But yeah, I felt like I should make a video pretty quickly while it was fresh because I just watched it on the 26th yesterday. And yeah, want to make sure to touch base on that. If you are new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video. Also, feel free to catch me on Twitch at randomnuts00. I'll be streaming games over there mostly, and this channel here is mostly just for kind of like experiences or just like kind of like random stuff. But again, that's Random Nuts. And yeah, and before I dive in here, I want to be clear: don't be in the comments being sexist and all this other shit because that's not what this review is about. Um, and that is it's shitty behavior. If you want that weird shit, go watch Ashley Gold. I documented that as well. Warning: this is not a spoiler-free review. So we're gonna get into the like everything just about. Might skip over some stuff, but yeah. So I'll go over what I remember. Without further ado, let's jump into this movie review. It was directed by Craig Gillespie. I think I'm saying that right. And then starring Millie Alcock. And I will go ahead and say I was pretty much pleased with Millie's performance. Um, I wasn't really too huge of a fan of the writing. I felt like the movie had potential, but it kind of got sold by the writing. And I'll go over into it as far as that goes. So as far as my thoughts going into this is going to be a fun movie. I didn't have issues like too much going in, but as the movie progressed, I did. For example, the intro was cool. You got Crypto running around, and we have Kara going to party while kind of like in this press state in which you don't know that yet because the movie didn't give you that information until basically the kind of like the middle of the movie, which is kind of an awkward approach. And for example, I also said like, here's why she's like this when the action is about to come is we're in the mood to make her a protagonist. It's like when a villain starts explaining himself in the middle of a fight, like, why are we doing this? I think it's just again, maybe we should have started off with showing her more kind of like in depth into like why she is where she is. It just doesn't make like too much sense to like show us like during the fights and stuff or like before the fights, like, hey, this is why she's kind of like suffering, or I guess using that information to explain it to the kid. I guess like Ruthie to explain that part later on. If that okay, yeah. Basically, you know what I'm saying. The movie is focused on her depression from losing her family and not feeling like she's at home and needing to save Crypto. The intro wasn't too strong at all, and there were barely scenes of Crypto to show a more powerful connection between Supergirl and her. So yeah, I just feel like there's kind of like lack of scenes. That's what I mean by kind of like building that connection. Because again, we felt for Supergirl. We know she is supposed to save her dog, but at points in the movie, it didn't really seem like it was an urgency. And so again, like building that connection, I felt like would have been helpful there. And then also showing Supergirl kind of like, being a little more frantic. There wasn't really like too much of a rush or like, hey, my dog has 72 hours to live and the antidote is somewhere in space. I have to hurry up. It was like a bunch of like jokes in between. And I get it. It's supposed to be kind of like a light-hearted, funny movie, but also I would imagine if anyone's dog is dying, you have 72 hours and you got to travel space to figure out where the fuck you're going. Yeah, I would probably be more in a rush. So that was kind of like a little awkward approach. Fun little tangent here. I'm gonna tell you how I would have. I know it's kind of crazy how I would have directed at least the beginning of the movie or like written it. And hear me out. And it's just a little again fun tangent here. And I did see something on Instagram too, but I will back it. It's on this like beginning part here. So to set the scene, the movie should open up with the destruction of Krypton. That's the part I saw, and that's the only thing I knew about the movie. Obviously, not starting with. So you have the destruction of Krypton. We watch Kara grow up, but with Crypto at maybe like 19 years old to build an idea of a stronger connection between them, even if it is off screen. Because again, the timeline wasn't like too pretty. Like they didn't really like say too much about that or like where she landed. And then her 23rd birthday. I'm not even sure necessarily about the time placement of when this all takes place, I guess, until like after Superman's battle with Lex Luthor and stuff. I know that's not exactly how it happened in the comics, but bear with me. We see what happens with kryptonite poisoning. Her father sends her to Earth, cut to her landing on Earth, meeting Superman. Cool idea or cool deal. Now we cut to 4 years later, a day before her 23rd birthday, because again, the movie didn't do a great job at portraying any of that with the time periods. Supergirl and Superman is fighting against some enemy on Earth. Choose your picking. I don't know. Again, don't know the comic stuff. Just choose a cool team up enemy, and then get some help from Super Friends, which will be a good little cameo ish. Superman does the heavy lifting of it all, which again, that's kind of nearly expected. But then we get to the point where they beat the bad guy, and everyone's congratulating Superman, and Superman knows the Supergirl isn't there anymore. But Supergirl isn't really worried about that right now. She's more so worried about getting off the planet at the moment because her birthday is coming up. She can still go to the same planet she was in the movie, so she rushes to go drinking away at her bar. And then the place she always go to when she wants to feel normal and drink her depression away. So then Superman catches her, has a talk with her, and tells her to come back when she's ready. Cool. Were you with me so far? It seems a little more interesting. Basically the talk she has at the movie. So like I feel like the talk at the end of the movie is something like that could have been this done towards the beginning. She heads out to the bar. Now cut to Ruthie's side of stuff, who didn't say a word to her parents or brother for the little screen time they had. We give them some kind of dialogue, build some connection, and then proceed with what happens in the movie. There was not enough connection to feel for that little girl. That felt a bit rushed. Yeah. So that's my kind of like way of going like to kind of like fixing the beginning of the movie to keep us like kind of like lured in. There's a lot of people from what I've been seeing online from what they've been saying, they did not they kind of like clocked out of the movie after the first 20 minutes or like first 30 minutes. And which same. Like I find myself being excited and then like bored and then just waiting for something to happen. Like something that like better to happen. And then that's not until the end of the movie, like during like the final like battle, even then it was kind of like questionable. So I'll go ahead and dive into the bad things about the movie, which I have a lot more than good, and that's saying a lot. I was just kind of speaking my mind. It's not shit on the movie. It's not shit on the actresses, actors, all of that. My main concern was the writing. So we'll go ahead and kind of like touch base on that. So the bads, lack of on-screen connection between Supergirl and Crypto, as I previously said, was it anything entirely too deep? Which leads to the second bad thing, Supergirl's lack of urgency to get to Crypto's antidote. Throughout the movie, it seemed like the antidote became a side quest and that the plot was to make Supergirl suffer. There was lots of setbacks and jokes being made, and I get it, it's funny, but your dog that you're connected with is about to die in 72 hours. Just like I said, you don't really see her rushing to get answers being frantic aside from being in the bar and breaking the dude's arm. And then we have a fight scene that's basically all screen after. There's also her struggling to be a hero throughout the movie, which cut back quite a bit of action, and it felt like her setbacks were a little more forced than natural. She had four things that weakened her throughout the movie, which was the red sun, the poison in the cup, which we're going to get to because that's just kind of stupid, the green sun, and the kryptonite darts. So, next thing, Lobo's intro is so random, in my opinion. He just happens to be there, no explanation aside from looking for the brigands like Supergirl and Ruthie. There were also times that Jason Momoa seemed to just be cosplaying as Lobo and not actually being Lobo. Just that he was there, just that he was looks for it, and his dialogue was a little ass. I mean, what y'all think about that? Again, I didn't really feel the need for him in the movie. I gotta be honest, he didn't really do too much. Um, Supergirl getting poisoned, so we're here. Supergirl as well as Superman has super smell. I didn't know that, but I was like, super's in the name. I just wanted to do some research. So I did a little bit of research before I did this. And yeah, they have super smell. So how couldn't she tell? So how could Supergirl tell something was in the cup? Or at the very least, question that strangers are giving her something to drink. That scene doesn't like sit too well for me. Is this kind of like, would you accept a drink from a stranger on a planet who it was like clearly like targeting women to be shipped off. And there's a friend that the homie knows that he's going to get to come by there. that's not really adding up. Also, well, no, I'll get to that part in a minute. That's also okay. So Supergirl doesn't utilize her lasers at all throughout the movie. It feels. Don't know if that was a writer's choice, but it was lacking a bit. Aside from she freed the woman held captive by the brigands. I know you don't want to like spam lasers over and over again, but I felt like they were underused. Same thing with her hearing and her X-ray vision. Now with the super hearing, I was thinking about this the like leading up to it. She left the room before she got poisoned, and she had super hearing, but it felt like she wasn't really using that entirely too much to see like what was going on, or kind of like big like I don't know if it's because she didn't know the language that they're talking in, maybe. And that's still kind of weird because she was talking that one alien language when the alien was screaming at Ruthie on the ship when she snuck on. So that's again still confusing. So yeah, I'm not too sure why she didn't use superhero to kind of like pick up on like cues on what's going on because they seem secretive. And also you're being told to wait in a room in a random place for a friend to come by after you already ransacked it with the fighting stuff. Seems a little weird. I would not stay in that same spot. That was actually kind of like dumb move. But again, writer's choice. Supergirl can't do anything outside of what her writers are telling her to do. Uh, so not really enough Supergirl action until the end because we spent the whole movie nerfing her. That's what I'm like kind of like biggest gripe with this movie. The only help given to her was Lobo, and he left towards the end. Not towards the end. Yeah, towards the end. All like after getting on the deck of the ship and all. He fought a tiny bit and just called Ruthie little shit a few times. For all that, you might as well have had a Green Lantern from a different planet show up to help earlier in the movie. I stand by that. The random Green Lantern coming to help and having a cameo and at least promoting the Green Lantern series that's coming up. That would have been smarter to do than have Lobo in there because, oh, Jason Momoa looks the part. I don't have anything against Jason Momoa, but my God, again, this felt like it was Jason Momoa playing Jason Momoa. I feel like it was just for the looks and there wasn't really much going on. We could have done without him. That's just my opinion. You see, for all that, yeah, you might as well Green Lantern. Ruthie wasn't really help either. Yeah, she was damn near like Mokuba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Capture after capture. That's what it felt like. Supergirl needed more supporting cast. Literally anyone besides Lobo, which was a complete waste of fucking time, money, and casting. The budget is 170 to 175 million dollars. Maybe another female lead in a Green Lantern would have been cool to add to the movie. Superman had hella support, and Supergirl was doing the majority of everything by herself. Which power to her, it was actually a Supergirl movie. That's why I will say she had no superheroes help, and the only person that made a cameo that was a superhero from what I know of, unless I completely damn missed it, it was Superman, and he was just on the screen. And then there was Lobo. Again, there was the lack of support versus Superman. And I don't understand why we keep doing this in the female led movies. It feels like we're trying to avoid damaging the male characters and having the female characters be more at risk for it. You see the male characters have people with bigger support and like help. Even I guess if you could compare it to Captain America, the first one, even then you had like Bucky, I mean, supporting character. I mean, and I guess it also depends on how much you know about about that character and their supports around. But it just felt like Supergirl didn't have anyone. It was kind of like she was kind of like by herself with it all. So yeah, I think maybe that would have been a bigger help. Is you gave Superman like 6 or 7. And the last bad thing I have is Supergirl didn't really learn much of anything throughout this besides to just lock in when needed to. She came back to Earth and says she's basically home, but really changed. I don't think much changed aside from her just, I guess, killing the captain of the brigade, whatever his name was, Krim. And I mean, that was kind of it. I mean, she did better as far as that being like again. It's just her locking in as a superhero now and saving people. That doesn't really tell me that she's home now or Like I don't understand where we're going with that. Yeah. So we're on to the good things now. And again, there's very few things I found good about the movie. It's not shit on the movie entirely, but at the same time, though, it's like it's hard to see a lot of good things where there's a whole bunch of bad stuff. But nonetheless, let's go ahead into the good stuff. I like the idea of being on time. Yeah, I like the idea of being on a time crunch to save crypto. It was executed well, in my opinion, but I mean, it already touched base on that. But I like the idea of what's at stake here. Supergirl did great. I feel she just needed more structure and a little better writing, as we talked about. Supergirl situation where she's by herself with really no help and just struggling is realistic. It's crazy that I'm saying one of the good things about the movie is that Supergirl's suffering is realistic. It just keeps happening, but again, seem mainly forced. Yeah, so with those things just happening over and over again, like I get it. Like when you're depressed, like you feel like things just kind of like getting in the way. But I felt like things were just like, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens. Like cool. So we're focusing on keeping her down, and she's kind of again in a depressed state. There just doesn't seem like there's really too much of a hey, here, let's give her one. And so again, the very end doesn't feel like she got like a bone or anything. But yeah, so at least it was kind of like realistic, like with like there's no other superheroes around, and sometimes Marvel does that where again I guess Spider-Man for example, like he's in New York and you know you have all those battles in New York, but there's no one around to help you when you're in time with like Negan. The other good thing I like where the side plot was going with about the brigands and the basically kidnapping the future wives. That could have been more in depth, like fleshing it out a bit more, and again having the urgency to help them too, like having a character talk or something that was kidnapped. I don't think they were really thought about, which is wild but obviously it raises awareness of human trafficking in the real world. So I applaud these for bringing attention to that. Because I think the only like real scenes we got was them kind of like running, screaming, and shooting one of the brigands at the end, and no dialogue or anything really. Just yeah. So it would have been cool to see some dialogue from them too. But yeah, the next good thing, well, the last good thing, Supergirl really locking in and killing Krim. I had that was awesome. I guess I thought it was cool to show that because it was expected with all the wasn't expected all the you shouldn't kill talk with Ruthie, which felt like that was kind of that part itself was weird. It's like you tell her not to kill, not do this, not do that, and I kind of like threw me for a loop a little bit. And I guess it was also sort of expected, but again, still threw me for a loop when she actually did the killing herself because it's like, oh dang, I didn't know Supergirl get down like that. Cool, I can fuck with that. Yeah. So the next part was it fun for me. It was fun until Project Saving Crypto didn't seem important. It was annoying seeing Supergirl get knocked down constantly. Like let her do something. It happened so much that I felt like she wasn't able to do anything. We can't hate Supergirl herself, and the writing for her is a bit ass. Again, she's barely been able to use her powers at like full extent, and it wasn't until the end of the movie. I'm not too sure that's like a budget choice, but it just again it's felt like we weren't really able to see her full potential, and yeah, just again four weaknesses between the Red Sun, poisoning, kryptonite arrows. It's like damn. You have one superhero on the screen and you're taking all of the damn fun out of that character. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. It's like she's the only one on screen. Let us have something. Like we're not gonna say, "Oh, Lobo," and I know, kind of like ranting right now, but yeah, I'm not gonna go. "Oh, there goes Lobo." I can accept everything you're doing about this movie because he's so cool. He's badass. I don't give a shit about Lobo. I'm so sorry. I'm not a fucking fan. I used to like the character. Cool. I don't care. I don't read the comics or anything like that. But you're not just going to keep just throwing out characters that are like, yeah, they'll settle for that, and let's go ahead and weaken the main person in the fucking movie. And then like have lack of action, and that yeah, that just doesn't make any sense to me. So no, it was nearly a fun watch, but it wasn't. When I watch it again, there's no replay value for it, in my opinion. It kind of drags a bit, and there's not much to enjoy until the end when she can finally do something. I don't know whose idea that was, but it was stupid. I can understand not having powers in the beginning of the Red Sun District, but she kept getting shut down everywhere she went. That being said, my final rating for the movie is a 6 out of 10. Again, I have no problem with the Supergirl herself. Again, this all comes down to the damn writing. I don't know what the fuck happened there, but we dropped the ball. As of last night, when I researched this, the movie grossed 13 million. Unfortunately, I don't think it will be over that. It won't be over what was spent on it, which again was 170 and through 175 million dollars. So, nonetheless, that's the end of that movie review. Again, y'all let me know what y'all think. Maybe I'm being too harsh on the movie. Maybe I'm not being harsh enough. I know there's been a lot of mixed opinions on it. So, nonetheless, again, don't be like an incel or anything in the comments. Everyone's entitled to their opinions, but we're not going to do that bullshit here. So, anyways, y'all take care. Thank you for the Supergirl movie and what y'all try to do with it. But this one wasn't it. Peace.